Today, I have a story to share that completely changed the way I view real estate investing. If you've been following my journey since I started this channel in November 2022, you'll know that I used to be dead set against investing in Japanese real estate. I mean, I said things like, "So it hurts for me to say this, that I will never buy rentals in Japan, even though I can get a loan with a very low interest rate." Japan has one of the oldest populations in the world, and this has led to a decrease in demand for housing. This has led to a decrease in demand for commercial real estate, which can also have a ripple effect on the residential market. Earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons, and volcanoes. Welcome to the country of natural disasters. So all of those statements are true, but that doesn't necessarily mean no one should invest in Japanese real estate. I was simply expressing my opinion at the time. As I immersed myself in the market and connected with experienced investors and people around the world with different needs and wants, I began to see the truth. Yes, this journey has changed my belief about investing in Japanese real estate. So today, I'm excited to take you on this transformational journey of mine and show you why Japanese real estate market can actually be an amazing opportunity for the right people under the right circumstances. In the end, I'll share my perspective on the difference between investing in Japan and the US real estate markets and whether which country fits better for you if you're not getting what you want in your home country's real estate market. If you're new here, my name is Shu. In this channel, I talk about real estate investing, financial freedom, and Japan. If you enjoy the content on my channel, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. It really helps the channel grow and I'd really appreciate it. And before I begin, I have a gift for you. If you want to learn how to buy an Akiya, cheap abandoned houses in Japan as a foreigner, I put together a free guide that will help you own your dream house or get started with real estate investing in Japan. Click the link below in the description. So let me tell you how I got started in real estate investing in the first place. Like many of you, I was just working in the corporate world as a full-time employee for most of my career. I enjoyed it because I got to learn core business skills like selling, marketing, recruiting, hiring, and leadership, and I got to do that on someone else's time. I was working hard, trying to climb up the corporate ladder so I can get a bigger salary, more recognition, and future security. That's what I thought I wanted because I didn't know any other way. So I kept working hard, switched jobs every 3 to 5 years, and climbed up the corporate ladder and got bigger salaries. The pay increases were nice, but I also started to work longer hours. The harder I worked, the more I knew something had to change. Deep in my heart, I knew the way I worked wasn't sustainable, especially if I were to start a family soon. But if I stopped working, I wouldn't have been able to sustain the lifestyle for too long while living in Tokyo. At this point, the only thing I knew was working hard, living below my means, and saving money. Every month, I set aside about $1,500 for savings. I did that for about a few years. On my 30th birthday, I had saved up $67,000, and I thought I had a lot of money. But deep down, I knew the math didn't add up. At this pace, I would need to work 30 more years to save up just over $500,000. Is that even enough money to retire with this kind of inflation? I had no idea. So I just kept working at my job without thinking much further about this. Soon later, I learned about index fund investing. Yes, the S&P 500 that many of you may be familiar with today. But back then, no one was talking about it. This was the first time I learned the concept of investing in compound interest. So I thought I can continue saving and invest the savings into the S&P 500. The stock market was doing well, but I knew the average return was going to be like 6 to 9%. If you have a ton of money, like millions of dollars, a 6 to 9% return is huge. But when you're starting small, it's really not that much. I knew I had to be patient and get the compounding to work, but I was willing to work harder to get a higher return on my investment. And then we came across real estate investing. I learned that wealthy people own real estate, and I was fascinated by the lifestyle of some of the successful real estate investors I knew. So I read all the books I could on real estate investing as fast as possible and listened to every single Bigger Pockets podcast episode to learn about how other investors build their own financial future. 6 months of studying and dozens of rejected offers later, we purchased our first rental property in December 2018. About 4 years later, we had a portfolio that consisted of 6 properties or 17 doors in the US. Compared to people who have hundreds of properties and thousands of units, it's a small portfolio, but it generated enough cash flow to cover all of our expenses to sustain our lifestyle every month. And that's when I decided to start my YouTube channel. So just to give you context, because we already had enough cash flow to cover my family's lifestyle, I wasn't as interested in investing for cash flow as when I started. Our main focus is to grow our wealth, and for us, that means building up equity. And that's my story of how I got started in real estate investing in the US and the context of when I started this YouTube channel. So let's rewind to the time when my skepticism was at its peak. I thought I had it all figured out. I had been investing in the US real estate markets while living in Japan as a Japanese national. Since I had been happy with the outcome I was experiencing at the time, the cash flow that replaced my active income when we first started investing, I thought that was the only market we wanted to invest in and where I can help people invest in. And with the rapidly declining population and the Akiya problem, I thought Japan's real estate was not worth the risk, but it would eventually become a liability. But as they say, sometimes you have to question your own beliefs to grow. And that's exactly what happened to me when I started meeting investors who were not only successful in Japan, but genuinely passionate about their endeavors. The turning point for me was when I decided to dive deeper into the Japanese market and have real conversations with experienced investors. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and it got me thinking, what if I've been missing out on something extraordinary?
Japan's a great country. Why would people not want to live here?
But you got to be patient and you got to kiss a lot of frogs.
Awesome.
Take your time. Altogether, we have
Building
96 units. Our occupancy is 94%.
Their success stories and insights began to chip away at my skepticism. I realized that there was so much more to the Japanese real estate market than I had initially assumed. The more I dug into the market, the more I discovered its hidden potential. Yes, Japan's population is aging and shrinking. Going from 125 million to 88 million by 2050 doesn't mean the demand for housing is going away. I mean, there will still be 88 million people in this country. That's still more than Turkey, Germany, Thailand, or the UK today. So if you pick the right location and buy right, you will provide value to the renters in the area. And while it's true that Japan's real estate may not experience massive appreciation like some other markets, it's very possible to get a steady flow of cash flow from rental properties in Japan. Compared to many developed countries around the world, Japanese houses are much more affordable, especially for foreigners with the weakening yen. I mean, you can buy a decent house just outside of big cities for under $100,000. I've done several videos on cheap houses in Japan, so be sure to check them out after finishing this video. Now, you might be wondering, who are the right people to invest in Japan's real estate? Well, it's not one size fits all situation. This market is a gem for investors who value steady cash flow, who are patient with their investments, and are willing to adapt to Japan's unique dynamics.
And no matter how population goes down, people are always going to want to come to Japan, whether it's Japanese people from outskirts or foreigners. I think the best bet is just to keep them and keep collecting rent. Yeah, it's cash flow. Yeah. It's the best investment.
Yeah. Now, I must admit that Japan is a treasure trove for those who do their research, are willing to understand the local culture, and embrace a patient investing approach. And if you want to live in Japan, the cost of living in general are significantly lower than countries like the US. According to Pacific Prime, the average cost of living in Japan for one person is $1,200 a month, while in the US is $2,213 a month. That's almost a half. For a family to live in Japan, it costs $3,051 a month on average in Japan compared to $5,003 in the US. I mean, the inflation in the US is outrageous right now. I recently bought a book at Barnes & Noble for $35. It's a pretty typical 250-page book. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about spending money on education and I want to support writers as a fellow author, so I'm not complaining. My point is, that's like 5,000 yen. The average price of a book in Japan is like maybe 1,300 yen. I could almost buy 4 books with that much money. Living in Japan, I feel the power of inflation in the US every time I visit. It's wild. Now, let's get into the comparison between Japan and the US real estate markets. They are fundamentally different in many ways. In today's US housing market, cash flow is becoming much harder to find, especially with higher interest rates than a couple of years ago. That means even if you buy a property at a cheaper price than 2020 or 2021, your monthly mortgage payments could end up being higher. And that's what stops many new investors from starting their real estate investing journey. The US offers high appreciation potential and a larger growing population with limited housing supply, making it a great fit for investors looking to delay gratification and invest for the future. In an appreciating market, this can be a great time to buy a home if you can afford it. If you have a lot of capital and patience, I think real estate in the US is the best asset to park your money long term. But if you want steady monthly cash flow or an opportunity to quit the job you hate sooner and maybe eventually move to Japan, I believe investing in Japan is a great way to build cash flow. Ultimately, it's all about finding the right fit for your investment goals and risk appetite. If you're seeking immediate cash flow and a chance to retire early, Japan may be a golden ticket. On the other hand, if you're willing to be patient and play the long game, the US offers fantastic opportunities to build substantial wealth over time. There you have it, my transformation from a skeptic to an advocate for Japanese Japanese real estate. If I were to start my real estate investing journey from scratch all over again in today's market, I think I would start investing in Japan for cash flow. I hope this video has inspired you to question your beliefs and explore new possibilities. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow investors. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Remember, there's no one size fits all in real estate investing. The most important thing to understand is what you actually want and why you want it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to watch this video next for more. Embrace the struggle and always keep learning. See you in the next one.